Hello and welcome to the warm-up and prehabilitation segment of Sports Med's Golf Enhancement video. Here at the Parisi Speed School, we specialize in explosive movement preparation. And as we all know, golf is an explosive sport. The safest way to prepare for any activity is to warm up at least the major muscles involved in that activity. A great way to do this is to incorporate some sort of active dynamic warm-up. Active dynamic means that we're not standing still, stretching and just doing stuff and then going out and playing as hard as we can. That philosophy is past. So we try to incorporate multiple joint movements that can influence and improve our everyday golf atmosphere and game. We can do this with 3 basic movements for golf and some basic stretches we'll go over right out of your Sports Med Stretches Handbook. So, the first movement we're going to go over is called an overhead squat. Now this is a super important movement for golf. All we want to do is grab your golf club, whichever one you like. I like the 6-iron, but we'll put it over our head, a little bit wider than shoulder width at the hands. We want to have our feet directly under our hips. And as we progress the movement, we sit way back and down. It doesn't have to be super deep. Remember, we're golfers, not football players or power lifters, okay? So we sit back and down. Now, incorrect form is to let the shoulders come forward. Remember, it's called an overhead squat, not an in front of the face squat. The next one we like to work on is our split squat. Now, it's going to incorporate the same muscles as an overhead squat. The hip extension that we get in our overhead squat, our glute strengthening that we get in our squat, and our quad strength. Now, the only thing that the overhead squat does that the split squat doesn't is the shoulder stability. Okay? So on our split squat, we're just going to hold our golf club or the golf cart or whatever's comfortable for you. We're going to stand a decent stride length apart. Staggered is what we call that. We want to be hip width in our feet, and we're going to drop our weight straight down and up. We don't have to go all the way to the ground, but it's always a good practice to get as low as you can with as little help as possible so that we strengthen through a full range of motion. And obviously, we'll turn around, do the opposite leg, and so on. So, again, the only thing that doesn't work that the overhead squat works is your shoulder stability. As we do the overhead squat, and I keep referring to it because it's so important, but as we do the overhead squat, the shoulders are the most worked muscle in that. They're the hardest thing to do, so it'll show you the importance of that in golf. The last thing we want to try and work on is a little flexibility in the shoulders and upper back. So we'll just do your garden variety arm hugs. We don't want to be too explosive with these, just dynamic. Remember, explosive is only good once we're already warmed up. Okay, so now we're going to move on to those select stretches that I mentioned earlier. Now, we never want to stretch prior to warming up, so these should always come after the last 3 movements. We have highlighted a few stretches that are going to be easy to do at the course. So, when we start these, we want to be adamant that we don't be too explosive in our stretching. We just want to be dynamic. Okay. The first one we're going to do is we're going to intertwine our fingers. We're going to push them up over our head and extend as high as possible. Now, we just want to hold it for 10 to 15 seconds and then repeat. Extend, extend, extend. All right. The next stretch we have, we're going to take our tricep, our elbow rather, and we're going to stretch our tricep over our head. We want to pull and lean slightly to incorporate our obliques. We'll hold that for 10 to 15 seconds and then switch and do the same thing with the other arm. Now, we don't want to just torque it down crazy because the more we torque, the more dangerous the movement gets. Now, our third stretch we have is we're going to stretch our Achilles tendon. Now, in our booklet it has us with even feet. Well, I'm going to alter that a little bit. Okay, years of running have taught me that when we stretch muscles independently, especially the Achilles and the ankle complex, it helps us to sustain a more thorough stretch. So we're going to stagger the feet again, just like we did in the split squat, only not as big. We're going to have one shoe directly behind the other. We're going to drop the weight straight down, keeping the back foot firmly against the ground. At no point do we want the heel to come up because we lose the effectiveness of the stretch. And then obviously we'll switch and do the exact same with the other foot. So we hold that for 10 to 15 seconds on each foot. It is a very good stretch for golf. Now, the next stretch we have is we're going to take our hands, we're going to push them together, and we're going to lower all the way down till we pass our sternum. There's a little bone in there called the xiphoid process. It sticks out right between your rib cage. You want to take your thumbs from the top of your chest all the way down past that xiphoid process. All right. Moving right along, our next stretch is one that you see all the time, and you see it done terribly wrong all the time. So what we usually see is people doing this, going crazy, turning the hips, going nuts with it. What we don't want to do is exactly that. This has to be a controlled, measured, and carefully done exercise, or we're going to hurt ourselves in the low back. So what we want to get out of this is a good oblique stretch. It's not a super big movement, and it's not as dynamic or explosive, rather, as the other. And we want to get all the way as far as we can without committing our hips. Don't commit the hips. When your hips turn, you lose the focus. Your heels come off the ground, and so on. All right. So the next move we're going to do is a shrug. You can do this with your golf club or without. What we're going to do is we're going to activate your traps. Your trapezius. It's a muscle right here between your shoulder and your neck. It has a lot of benefit. Strengthening it has a lot of benefit. So full range of motion, just take your shoulders to your ears and down as low as you can. You'll find that the contraction is easy and the relaxing is the hard part. So we want to push down hard. All right, and the next stretch we have, we're going to put our hands right behind your head, and we're going to pull those elbows back. We want to pinch our shoulder blades as hard as we can. Really pinch and hold 10 to 15 seconds. All of our stretches need to be held for 10 to 15 seconds, 2 times a piece. All of the exercises and the active dynamic warm-up, we want to do those 2 sets of 10. Okay? Preparation prior to the golf course can improve your power, your flexibility, and your durability, all of which will improve your overall golf game, especially your drive length. Add this routine 2 to 3 times per week, and you will develop a very nice base for you to become an explosive, powerful, durable golfer. Thank you. Have a great day.